8 and 6. We started a campaign last week, £10 million worth of work. It's a little campaign just to point you in the right direction to a new job. Maybe it's a career change, or maybe it's if you're out of work, just to make you aware of the jobs that are out there. Now, if you are looking to get back into work, you need a little bit of help and support, then what you need to do, you need to go to Step Forward Tees Valley. They might be able to provide you with the guidance you need. Let's find out a little bit more about them. Joined now by Dan Cochrane. A very good afternoon to you, Dan.
Good afternoon to yourself, Gary. Thank you very much for having me on.
It's a pleasure, my friend. So, Dan, tell me about Step Forward Tees Valley. What do you do? How do you help people get to work?
So, Step Forward's been running for around about 4 years in the Tees Valley region, and we're joint funded by the European Social Fund and the National Lottery Community Fund. We're a partnership of 17 organisations who try and take a holistic approach to looking at the barriers that people are facing and try and working with a navigator to remove the barriers that they might have to help them get into work or education, or even just to stabilise the lifestyles.
Right, because I was literally just talking about this last night with my other half and said, I'm coming up 50. If I was to be made redundant and I would have to retrain, my life would change exponentially and I wouldn't have a clue what to do to try to get back into work. Could you help people like me in that situation?
Absolutely. Obviously, that situation is going to be becoming more and more common with what's happening with the pandemic. Basically, what happens if someone joins Step Forward Tees Valley, they are allocated what we call a dedicated navigator. So that would be someone who works one-to-one with them to look at perhaps the skills that they already have from existing roles or any volunteering that they might have done and through life skills. And then we try and match them skills to potentially similar areas or new areas of work that they might be interested in getting into. Now, if someone does lack the skills or the experience, then part of the partnership can support in that area. We work alongside partners that can deliver employability training, so things like how to look for the best type of jobs, where to look for them, how to produce good quality CVs for different industries, the best way to put covering letters together, to do all of the online applications that seem to be more commonplace nowadays. We also work very closely with the VDAs, or the Voluntary Development Agencies in Middlesbrough, Redcar, and a company called Changing Lives in the other areas, where we provide volunteering opportunities for people. So it could be that someone's already had an idea of work they'd like to get into, but perhaps they don't have that experience and they want to get some hands-on experience in doing a new role. So we try and match people to areas of work that they'd like to break into or they've considered previously, and get them some volunteering experience in that way as well.
It's quite liberating listening to you, because I feel like an onion. I've gone through this. I look at myself like a cat in the mirror. I don't recognise the skill set that I've picked up. It's really refreshing to have a fresh set of eyes, look at what you do as an individual and go, actually, yeah, just because you do that doesn't mean that you can't do that and you can't do that. What are people like that you work with when you tell them, Dan, you're better than what you think?
Well, I think that's the case for a lot of us, Gary. Sometimes we've worked in an industry for quite a long time. We think it's a very specific industry, but really it's identifying those transferable skills, the skills that no matter if you want to be an astronaut, a vet, or work in the local takeaway, there are a skill set that every employer will be looking for. And I think sometimes that we forget that we have those. I know I've worked previously in another life with lone parents, and quite a lot of the lone parent groups that I've worked with have often found that they've just see themselves as perhaps a mother or a father, that they've never worked before, they've been raising a family. But I have to then sort of make them see that being a mother or a father is one of the hardest jobs in the world. You have to have budgeting skills, communication skills, motivation, organisational skills, all of these kind of things in order to run a household, to bring up a family. And I think sometimes we lose sight of the qualities that we have because we've just been doing perhaps the same job day in, day out, and we lose focus a little bit of how good we actually are. So sometimes it's a case of sitting down with the participant, talking about their experiences, talking about their life, their work, their education, and maybe just sort of reiterating the fact that, a lot of employers are looking for these certain skills that people have and they might not recognise.
A lot of the job's quite a seismic shock in people's lives and can affect your mental health. Do you help support in that way as well?
We absolutely do. Again, as I mentioned, we have 17 partners. 2 of the partners that we work are working on Step Forward are specifically around health and mental health. So we have Redcar and Cleveland Mind and Stockton Mind. And if someone feels that they are suffering with their mental health if they're feeling that it's declined. What we will do is we'll not only provide them with a navigator to look around other barriers, but when it comes to their health or mental health, we connect them with what we call a health link worker. So that would be another piece of support or another person who would support specifically around someone's mental health or physical health conditions. So like I say, we have Mind in Redcar and Stockton and Hartlepool, and in our area, well, my area, which is Redcar and which is Middlesbrough, we have Mental Health Concern, and they also cover Darlington as well. So in each of the boroughs that we work with, we have dedicated mental health workers and health link workers who can sit and support people if they are struggling with their emotions.
What advice would you give to somebody who maybe has that, over the last couple of months, have had that news, or maybe freshly got that news that their job is no longer going to be there? Is there a bit of advice you would say to someone? They say, like, your first step should be this.
Well, the first step should be getting in touch with Step Forward Tees Valley, I think. But again, I mean, we see on the news quite a lot of negative reports. There's obviously a lot of job losses. Certain industries have really taken a hit. But that's not to say that there aren't other industries that are actually growing. I mean, it's an awful situation that we're going through with this pandemic, but there are industries and sectors that are booming since this happened. Obviously, deliveries, supermarkets, warehousing, all of those sectors are actually doing incredibly well in the northeast. So it might not be necessarily everybody's cup of tea, but if we talk to them about the skill set that they have and how that could be transferred into those different industries, it's not all doom and gloom. There is some positivity out there. I think it's just sometimes maybe recognising our own skills, or almost being prepared sometimes to think that we may have to look into a different industry. I know it can be quite scary if we've done a job for a number of years. I worked for an organisation previously when British Steel went under, and we had a lot of people who said, I've been there since man and boy, I've been there 25, 35 years, what am I going to be able to do now? So we looked at the types of areas that they were looking to get into, as we would with Step Forward Tees Valley, and try and connect them with someone in the partnership, but perhaps even if it's not an organisation specifically in Step Forward Partnership, we would then signpost to other organisations where we know funding is available to help people get retrained. There's a lot of opportunities we can connect our participants with where you do some training, and then potentially there are employers who come in at the end, and there's guaranteed interviews. Obviously, if the person does very well in the training and the interview, then there's opportunities for work there as well.
Brilliant. Because I'm just thinking about my career path. I went from milkman, pig farmer, council gardener, radio presenter.
Quite an eclectic background there, then, Gary.
Absolutely, yeah. But you know, it's really been really fascinating listening to you, and I think the great sense I get from it is love yourself and value yourself, because the thing is, you are the best at being you.
Absolutely, and like I say, you know, for as much as our main focus is to help people into work and training, sometimes it could be that people are just going through very chaotic lifestyles at this time, in which case they might not necessarily be ready for work or training, but they would like to do something where they're improving their communication skills, they're meeting new people. We run a lot of other sessions outside of just the employment side of things, so we're connecting with people, you know, doing craft sessions, healthy cooking sessions. We work in community centres. We take a lot of sort of advice from our participants, our existing people that we're working with, to say, what would you like to see Step Forward get involved in? One of the things that came back just last year was a lot of our male participants said they felt quite isolated and they'd like to get involved in some more groups. So I know that as a male navigator in the Middlesbrough region, I started to put on men's groups, and we might do walking together, or we could do sort of employment sessions. We could do, you know, just quizzes, things like that. Quite nice social activities as well to improve people's confidence and motivation.
Sounds absolutely brilliant. How do people get in touch with it if you feel they could use your services? Well,
basically we have referral hubs in each of the different regions, in Hartlepool, Darlington, Stockton, Redcar and Middlesbrough. On our website, if you have a look on Step Forward Tees Valley website, all the telephone numbers are there for each of the hubs. We're also all over social media as well, so if you are a Facebook user or anything like that, you can just key in Step Forward, it will come up with our page. You can make contact directly through the Facebook page. Someone from our head office would obviously signpost it to the relevant organisation or the relevant area, and then one of the members of staff would get in touch.
Brilliant stuff. Hey, thank you very much for your time this afternoon.
No, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to talk about it.
Take care, Dan. Thank you very much. Dan Cochran there from Step Forward Tees Valley with a bit of practical advice, and if you can use them, there you go. Step Forward Tees Valley. They're there for you to help you if you can.